Members of Operation Dudula have been conducting raids on various hijacked buildings in Rosettenville here in Johannesburg amid rising tensions over illegal property occupations. Now, the group claims that many South African citizens are actually left homeless while these buildings are taken over, often by foreign nationals, and also accuse police of inaction. There are also allegations that the recent protests have now turned violent, and we have decided to reach out now to Operation Dudula for their official response and, of course, to bring us their side of the story. And joining us here in studio is, of course, Operation Dudula President, Ms. Zandile Dabula. Zandile, it's great to have you with us in studio. A very good afternoon. So I'm sure you saw the interview that I had with the human rights activist yesterday, basically saying there's acts of vigilantism with some of the campaigns that you've undertaken in trying to address the situation with these hijacked buildings and illegal immigration as a whole. So talk to us about that. What is your response to that?
Now, firstly, thank you so much for giving us the time to come and express, though I know it will not be enough time. But, firstly, these human rights commissions, the human rights activists, they need to come clean and come out and tell us who are they? Who are they actually supporting, and who are they advocating for? Because to us it looks as if they are advocating for foreign nationals. Now, I'm saying this because in many incidents, you know that we had kids that died of poisonous food. We did not see them. We have kids that are being raped by foreign nationals. I mean, we see it on all social media platforms, but they are nowhere to be seen. But immediately when you touch the issues of foreign nationals, and then they come out, they even have the audacity to take us to court. Now, we are, as Operation Dudula, are the mouthpiece of South Africans, and nobody will stop us because we cannot just sit back and watch our country going down the drain. I mean, our buildings are dilapidating. These people are hijacking. I mean, these people are criminals. The minute you cross the border and you don't have a proper document, that makes you a criminal. Now, why are these NGOs advocating for criminals? Are they promoting criminality? Are they promoting a lawless country? So I'm still saying we're going to close them down because South Africans are hurtful. And we are not vigilantes. I mean, if you have seen yesterday's operation, because it's all over social media platform, we asked the police that now that you're here, please intervene. We have properties that are hijacked by foreigners, whether they're legal or not, but they're not supposed to be occupying those properties. Properties are belonging to the city. If you check on the system, it tells you that the property belongs to the city, but you have a non-South African who lives in those property. We had complainants because we are invited by the community of Rosettenville to say that we are tired.
I wanted to ask who gave you the mandate. Yes.
We are invited because the crime rate is too high. I mean, there's killings in Rosettenville and people are unsafe. And they say it's because of all of these hijacked properties that are harboring illegal migrants, prostitution, drugs that are happening in those properties. I mean, that's the same reason why we went to the city and said, you need to intervene because
illegal connections, water, rates are not being connected.
The city is not getting any revenue because those people have connected illegally. I mean, it's not that we just thumb-sucking things out of our own minds and all that, but it's evident. We've seen it. We've seen illegal connection and all that. And unfortunately, there's no vigilantism, but we have police that chooses not to do their job. We see the police vehicles roaming around, using our tax money because that fuel that's poured in those vehicles is our tax money. But they're doing nothing to help the communities. Every time when the community goes to the station and seek help, they've been told that there are no vans. Not even the station commander is willing to help these people. These victims, the people that invited us there, they've lost their properties. I mean, there's a lady that was interviewed and explained how she lost her property in the hands of foreign nationals. The case is there at the station, but the station is doing nothing about it.
Look, let's understand this, Zandile, because there seems to be this issue of which legal framework or mandate are you actually operating under as citizens, as an organization, to go on your own and conduct these raids. So maybe take us through that.
So we are the citizens of this country, like you correctly said, and we have the right to citizens' arrest. So if we suspect that there's a criminality or there's an element of a criminality that's taking place in that property, we have the right to go there and make sure that we report it Or if the person is, we're able to take the person, send them to the station. But in this case, we're saying that police, because now that you're here, we want to go and show you where the criminal activities are happening. Then you can act. Yes, we are told about processes, that we need to have court orders, eviction orders. I mean, talking about a disgruntled old lady who is unemployed, lost her husband, has no means of making a living. And then you want to take that lady going all over courts. Obviously, she will fail. That's how they hijack these properties, because they know that South Africans don't have money to take them to court and get those eviction orders and hand them over to the sheriff so that they can be evicted. Now, I was asking yesterday that, now you're telling me about all the processes of reclaiming the property. Which process are the hijackers taking? Because they just come and evict South Africans in those properties, and they're using you as law enforcers with fake eviction orders. And we know this, we've seen it, people have fought, but the police are just against their own citizens.
Zandile, let's talk about the reason and motivation for going this route as Operation Dudula. I'm asking this because as citizens, I mean, you hear the issue of service delivery issues. I'm going to reiterate once again, when citizens are fed up and the authorities do not listen, who's supposed to take over? But have you, in your grassroots engagements, tried to engage with any government authorities, any relevant authorities? What are some of the responses that you receive when you actually try to go the legal route before you undertake your raiding actions?
Let me take you back when Operation Dudula was formed. Our very first march was to the city of Joburg, because it started in Joburg. And one of our demands was that we want the city to reclaim back the properties, because they need to be turned into RDP houses. I mean, the situation was not as bad as it is today. That was one of the demands, to say that we want to help. How do we help each other claim the hijacked properties in the CBDs? But no one listened to us. I mean, we've been to all the departments. We marched to the Department of Home Affairs. We've marched to even the president himself. We went to the union buildings. And we handed over a memorandum that, you know, we even asked that, can we have a state of emergency when it comes to immigration? Because it's out of hand now.
What report back are you getting?
We're not getting any report back, not even an acknowledgement of our memorandum. But hey, you would see the president all over talking about how we are vigilantes. And yet we are trying to...
Have you been necklacing people during your parades? Have you been killing people? Are there people that are maybe hijacking some of your protest action as vigilantes and making it as if it's Operation Dudula that is actually necklacing those individuals?
There was xenophobic attacks before Operation Dudula was born.
Yes.
Ever since Operation Dudula was born, we try by all means to act within the confines of the law. You'd see in all our operations, because we apply for Section 205 when we have our marches and operations, and we are granted permission to go. That's why you will see visibility, police visibility.
Is this the Section 205 that the police were squabbling with you about yesterday? What happened there? Because apparently you said you had the documents and you couldn't produce the documents.
No, the documents we're talking about were the documents of the victims, that they are the rightful owners of the properties. And they have been, some of them have been to court to fight for these properties. But because they are being bullied by foreigners, that's why they're still unable to occupy their homes. Now, the 205, we did not apply for 205 because that was not a march. That was an operation. So we were at a meeting point, moving from point A to point B to the houses, and it was not a march. So we didn't want to close any streets, and, you know, sometimes maybe our police also need to go back, and they must be educated with their own laws, because it seems like they don't even understand. They don't even know that we as citizens can effect citizens' arrest. So every time when we talk about citizens' arrest, they're like we're talking about, it's news to them. So the government really needs to do something, because while we will not just watch our country go down the drain, because our children will suffer. And things are getting bad every day. I mean, you go to the CBDs, not just Joburg, any CBD, you'll notice that most of the people that are there are foreign nationals.
Look, let's talk about, maybe in closing, Zandile, I mean, how are you disciplining your members when you go on these raids? And also, what are you told when you ask for, like, police assistance or, you know, accompaniment, just an escort to come with you to those areas? Because we also saw similar action pertaining to some of the health facilities in and around, in fact, the whole country in particular this week.
Now, I'm glad that you're saying the whole country, because now this is a sign that South Africans are really up to here. I mean, we always ask for permission when we go to these operations, but we are denied. Then we tell them that now that you don't want us to do them, can we see you do them? But they do nothing about them. This very same Rosettenville incident and the operations, we've sent emails to the station commander to say that on this day we will have such an operation. Can you please escort us or accompany us so that we can pinpoint the houses?
So you can furnish us with that if we actually even ask you.
We have all the proof, because I was even referred to the provincial office, and the provincial office said, no, that's at the level of a station, and we did just that. We report. I mean, we act within the confines of the law. It's just that we have a government that does not have a will to deal with the immigration issue, and I don't know why is it that the president can see that the country is going down the drain, but he decides to turn a blind eye. Maybe he needs to come out and tell us that, you know what, I don't want to deal with this issue. I am not for South Africans. You guys can see how you sort yourselves out, because we cannot have a president that will prioritize foreign nationals over us. I mean, even now, he's busy fighting the Palestine and Israel fights, you know, seeking for peace there. But the same thing that's happening in that country, it's going to happen here in South Africa, because we have more foreigners, and it looks like we are being overnumbered now. The foreign nationals that are in this country are way over South Africans.
Zandile, there is a national dialogue that is touted to come through. So hopefully you will be laying some of your grievances with that particular council. Unfortunately, we're out of time.
We're not involved. And who even chose those people to be there? Because
Zandile,
I don't think they'll be talking about foreign nationals.
You and I finished. Zandile Dabula, president of Operation Dudula. And of course, she was engaging with us after the allegations of vigilantism by some human rights bodies after they had staged some raids to try and address the issue of illegally occupied properties in and around Rosettenville yesterday.